Check on the mic. Why am I such an eco-village enthusiast? And why am I doing all of these things? Basically, what I can observe is that the eco-village culture is much more in touch with life. It's serving life in so many different ways, starting with the most fundamental human need of fresh water and healthy food, where by water not every eco-village has the freshest water, but what they certainly do have is that they grow at least a portion of their own food, which is then also responsibly biologically grown, at least in the perception of my own terminology, how I see eco-villages, because there is a difference between them. Not all have the same focus, not all are or have the same size. They are all on different locations and different meteorological circumstances. So it all depends, of course, but what unites them all is the strive for ecological living. I mean, that's the essence of eco-village. It comes from ecology and also from oikos, from the Greek word of home, which is also an interesting fact that oikos was called home in Greece, and basically there is the second need that comes along after food and water. It's the human connection. And so what I can observe here also in Siebenlinden, it's like a community of around 180 people with all the children and people surrounding the village. And basically there's common food, which is already one big factor that brings people together. But there's a cafe, there's a singing nights, there are dancing moments, there is now for Easter a collective egg hunting where all the families come together. So basically the whole organization or the structure and also infrastructure is built in a way that makes human connection much easier and more natural compared to the regular apartment blocks where everybody is in their own bubble. So talking about the human need for connection, that's a really big factor for eco-villages and intentional communities. And I can just sense and see and observe, for example, children or also young adults that grew up in eco-villages and intentional communities. You can really sense it, so it's a bit like if you see people that have gone to like Waldorf schools or other alternative schools, they already have that sense of socialization or this social capacity, which is much stronger in regard to emotional observation and the capacity to express your emotions, how to deal with conflicts, like all these communication tools like nonviolent communication and looping, for example, all of the things that the adults or the pioneers, all of these things that they experimented with, the children, they get it from day one. So then, of course, they have they have this sense or this being and culture already in them, and it makes it, of course, much easier to absorb it from a young age on. And for me, it's just like I'm just fascinated to see this, and that's why I have the urge and the feeling and the inspiration to spread this culture, because I really believe that having more of this culture will make the world a better place. Because already here in the village I can see things like agroforestry, vegetable gardens. Like agroforestry, for example, is mostly about planting trees and also bushes. And basically what it does, it's just a very effective tool to bring back biodiversity into, let's say, this big monoculture fields. For example, also here what you can see is after the war in Germany, they planted a lot of the same trees. So basically you can see the whole forest. It's basically a monoculture of forest. And yeah, what they do here, of course, now is that they spread diversity and put different trees, which is so important for soil health and general biodiversity, the lushness of the forest that comes back, different insects, bringing also other animals. Like the whole ecosystem needs diversity, that's just how it works. And yeah, I don't need to tell you about monoculture so much. I mean, agriculture nowadays with pesticides and everything, we know it. We don't need to go in there. But I really want to stay in that topic of, why eco-villages are amazing and why I love them so much and why I want to spread this culture. And like I said, it's mainly because our basic needs really get fulfilled in a way that is more healthy. Because of course you can say, I get my water from the tap, and yes, I get my food from the shop. But okay, well, the water here comes also from the tap, don't take me wrong. But what I just want to say is that there is a different awareness. And for example, then biological food that you get into your body is just essential. I mean, that's what we need to thrive and to live healthily and happily. And then the human connection, like I also just mentioned, that comes on top of it. So if your stomach is full and your belly is satisfied, then you want to play and you want to engage and you want to be with people. And that's the second thing that comes here again and again, and it's human connection. We all want to belong. We all have this need to belong, and that's why we also all search for our identity. Either we identify with our country, our nationality, or football club, which is nothing bad, but in the end we come from a tribal way of being. So we have always been in tribes, we've been in nature, we've been drumming and dancing and singing together, and these are elements that are so crucial to be living with. It's like, yeah, yeah, yo, yeah, yeah, yo, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, hey, yo, yeah, yeah, yo, yeah, yeah, yo, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, hey, yo. And now imagine this in a ritual for Mother Nature in a big circle. A bit like rainbow, The rainbow culture, like rainbow gatherings, if you haven't heard about it, let me know. I can make another video about it. But yeah, rainbow culture and eco-village culture, they go hand in hand. So they both... the way I see it is like basically eco-villages are a more structured way of rainbow gatherings. So a more permanent way of rainbow gatherings. Of course, not all eco-villages do it. They don't always sing before the food. For example, here in Siebenlinden, the way they do it is, or the way we do it is, we stand in a circle, we hold hands, and then we just have a moment of silence before the cook and the assistants will be sharing what they have prepared for us. And I guess this is also maybe because it's already an older eco-village. We are now getting close, or we are already at 30 years here in Siebenlinden, 30 years of existence, which is pretty rare. And so then I understand that maybe not everybody wants to always sing or is always in the mood for it, because of course you never know, maybe somebody is sick once or has a different mood. So I feel like the silence has a certain degree of maturity, because it's just having silence, awareness, tuning in, and then going out into the food. Although me personally, I would love to have some singing together, or a Thanksgiving maybe after the silence. And maybe I'm gonna propose it, let's see. But yeah, that's how I would do it personally, or that's how I would like it to be in my community. Because if you haven't watched the videos before, I am here in Siebenlinden as a volunteer, and in general I'm just a eco-village enthusiast, and I want to explore and understand how eco-villages function and how community functions. And maybe I also have this idealistic drive of making the world a better place, which is probably also necessary to have. And sometimes people tell me, or I heard already, oh, I think you're a bit naive, and well, maybe, but I would rather call it positive optimism, hopeful optimism, or maybe active hope also. I just believe that we can make a change, and I see that we are making the change. So it's just a matter of people transitioning into this consciousness, let's say, or awareness, and also empowerment, that they see, okay, I can actually live a different life. I don't need to stay in my apartment. I don't need to stay in my regular 9 to 5. I can actually go in an eco-village, even though I don't earn that much money, and even though I don't work that much. There are plenty of other factors of wealth. And I also think that we need to get off from the idea of wealth being only measured by finances. Because if I look, like, I am from Luxembourg, for example. Luxembourg is one of the richest countries in the world by GDP. But it's also it has one of the highest suicide rates of the world. So again, wealth, financial wealth, doesn't mean real wealth. It's like what Marley said in the past already. Money doesn't make you happy. Happiness comes from the inside. Happiness comes from feeling fulfilled, feeling like, okay, my energy, my actions, my words, the things that I do have a real impact. They have a positive change. Happiness also comes from smiles that you exchange with people, with hugs, with cuddling, dancing, singing. And these are things that I would love to see more in the world. Yeah. And that's why I'm doing this. So, bless up. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening and for spreading. And let me know if you want to know anything else, and I would gladly talk about it, or even go out now here and film it. So I'm gonna be in Siebenlinden until the mid of August, before I will go to Hungary in the European Ecovillage gathering. And so let me know if you have any questions regarding Siebenlinden or eco-villages in general. I would really love to answer them and make more of these videos. So bless up. This one, Captain Lionheart, straight from the forest here in Sachsen-Anhalt, spreading the good vibrations. Altmark im Wandel, here we go. Ahoy!